Hello, welcome. It is the Daily Live. So it's Monday, 4th of September. Happy birthday to my brother. There you go. He won't be. Jack is with me in a very warm studio. Very, very warm. Gorgeous, but it is very warm in here. Where do we start? We'll come to Demarai Gray in a minute, but no, you'll be on the final word anyway. But just very briefly, are you a bit frustrated at Saturday, or are you looking at it? Some people were delighted. It's the point that it's gonna get us on our way. What do you think?
No, frustrating's definitely the word for it, and we'll get into this on the final words in more detail. But I'm not a subscriber to the idea of bad luck in this game.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of context to that, and while there were incidents of bad luck, it's our fault bad luck could affect us in the first place, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is a way to look at it. Absolutely. Okay, there was a huge slice of luck for their second goal, but we could have stopped it, and then therefore luck doesn't come into it. But what I would say is there was spells of brighter attacking play. I would say that we did look a little bit more inventive going forward, but that's just because of Beto, because we got a centre forward that's willing to run and knock people about.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it was an improvement, and yeah, you're right, it's a point we didn't have before, and we've scored a goal as well in
I
the
still
league,
think it's 2-drop, by the way. I'm just saying what a lot of people have said.
You're raising the point, aren't you, the other side of it, but that's all true, but it was a very winnable game. It was a game we were winning, it was a game we should have won and we didn't, and that for me can only be frustrating.
Yeah, it's absolutely. We've played 3 games against Fulham, Wolves, and Sheffield United. Not one of them has been a good side. It's whether they develop into it. It's early days. Anything can change. But we've taken 1 point, and that's the worry. That's the big worry, is that them sides will probably have better days. And yet we've caught them probably at the right time. Certainly the 2 home games, Fulham and Wolves. I don't think they could have played any worse, and we haven't beat them. And then Saturday, the right decision making, I think we win the game.
Yeah, definitely. And, all these teams, especially Fulham and Wolves, like you say, they will improve. Fulham have had quite a chaotic transfer window, but they'll stabilise and they'll do better. Yeah. Wolves, we're lacking a striker. They, again, chaotic transfer window, uncertainty around the club. But, as things settle down, they will assumably do better. Sheffield United haven't won a game all season. You'd assume at some point they will win a game, and therefore they'll do better. But in the context of all of these 3 games, they were all winnable.
Yeah.
With the context going in, and the actual performance as well, how we seen them play versus how we played. We played well enough to win all of these 3 games. That's 9 points there, and we've took 1. It does matter.
Yeah.
Now it's early days, and I know people get annoyed when people say, you can't be a 6-point head. It's start of the season. I do get that. But it's 8 points dropped. And if you're looking at this team thinking, it should be getting around 40 points-ish, give or take, to lose 8 points from that already. Don't get me wrong, I still think we will get a points tally around that, but we're going to have to go and beat a better team now. We're going to have to do more, going to have to work harder for it. Got Arsenal coming up. If we want to get our first win of the season now, we have to beat Arsenal, one of the best teams in the league. We might go and do that, but it's unnecessary stress, isn't it, for us and for the team?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the frustrating thing. Listen, Everton have proved it before. We beat Arsenal. I think it might be 5 out the last 6 seasons at Goodison, something like that. We've got a good record, a strong record against them. I think Sean Dyche's record against them isn't bad at all, but the pressure's on that game now. The pressure is all on that game, and people can turn around and go, well, it's whatever, but it is. You've got to put points on the board, and Everton, Arsenal at home, Brentford away. Sitting here today, I don't see many points in those 2 games. By the time we kick off against Arsenal, I'll fully believe we can beat them. Absolutely, I will. But by the same token, it's quite conceivable that Everton lose the next 2, and then they'll have played 6, drew 1 and lost 5. I think the manager's in huge trouble then. And this could have easily been avoided with some better team selections, because I think he's let himself down a little bit with some of his selections so far. That wasn't really the case at the weekend. He picked what he had, didn't he? We 2 goalies and only 5 subs for the rest of them. But other games will come back to bite us, and when you're passing up chances, this team has got to realise. You see other teams like West Ham the other week went to Brighton and got battered and won 3-1 because when the chances came, they just were clinical. Way too wrong decision making, missing opportunity, and it does put all of that extra pressure you're talking about on the team, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? There's some poor teams in this league, worse teams than Everton. There's other teams down there. We obviously played one of them the other day. But eventually they will all start to win because they have to at some point. We can't all lose all season. We all will win games at some point. Yeah, but Lord of averages
of course,
and all that. So they will start picking up points. They'll come into easier fixtures, some of them, than we've got coming up.
Yeah.
We've had our easy fixtures, our winnable games, and we'll have more. But we've just had a spell of them and we've took 1 point from them.
Yeah. We have got to start, haven't we? One player who might have been able to help in this little period has had his say on why he's had his say to state that he isn't very happy at Everton Football Club, and that is Demarai Gray. We know that he's been close to leaving all summer, basically. The frustration for me is if you make a decision on a player that they're available to go, that's fine. As a manager, you live and die by this. Looking at Demarai Gray, the manager might be thinking, well, I gave him a chance last year. He's not really what I want. No problem with that. Sean Dyche's got to make decisions that suit him and Everton Football Club. But the issue for me is that those players, while employed by Everton Football Club, should be available to help Everton Football Club. And I honestly think if we'd have had Demarai Gray against Fulham and Wolves, it would have given us a better opportunity to win those games while he's waiting to go. If that transfer's all lined up and the ink's drying on the contract, of course, you pull them out and they go. We see Neil Maupay played for us at Doncaster on Wednesday and went to Brentford on Friday. Other players we've seen at other clubs. Mohamed Kudus played for Ajax in Europe on the Thursday night, or the Thursday night I think it was, and flew to West Ham on the Friday and signed for them. Got a hat-trick on the Thursday and flew the next day. Now that he could have, when people go, yeah, but say he got injured in the transfer, well, Kudus was a £50 million transfer and he played. And yet Ajax knew they needed him that night, so they played him. We've got ourselves in a position where don't know all the story, but reading between the lines and things that you hear, the manager's been saying Demarai Gray's not fit for weeks. Demarai Gray's let it be known he's been fit for weeks. There's other stories bouncing around that he's been training with the kids and whatever, right? It happens in football, but I just think we could have handled this so much better by just using him until the deal's agreed, and then you wish him well. You shake his hand and off he goes.
Yeah, I suppose it depends of what stage any potential deal might have been at. At one point it looked certain he was going to Al-Shabaab in Saudi. Then they had a switch around and that put it on hold or whatever. But in that period, certainly he could have played when there was doubt over that move while they were discussing internally if they still wanted him.
Mitrovic played for Fulham and then went a couple of days later for 46 million or something.
Yeah.
So other clubs have done it because of necessity.
I suppose you could say that Kudus and Mitrovic are both two of their club's best players, though, as well. And,
I know, but we've had injury. We've had Dominic Calvert-Lewin out injured.
I do agree with you.
Tom Cannon, and who the manager was never going to put on, by the way, was he? He put him on for 2 minutes against Wolves or 3 minutes in injury time, whereas Demarai Gray, we've got James Garner playing out right on the right-hand side of midfield, he's not a wide player. He's proved that in every game. He's not a wide player. He's played really well at fullback against Doncaster, by the way, and I think he's a good player and I think he'll keep developing. But we've literally got nobody who's been on the right with Demarai Gray. Even if he was 25 minutes in the end of a game, sub against Wolves and Fulham, that would have probably made a big difference to us.
Yeah, he's an option at the very least, isn't he?
Mean, yeah.
And he's not our greatest player, and he doesn't really fit how Dyche wants to play, but it's a better option at least, and we have to do 90 minutes of James Garner on this right wing, even if it's not working. And
the kid himself has come out and said he doesn't like playing there, really. He'll play there, of course, he will, because you'll play anywhere, you want games. But he said, I'm a centre mid. So it's like, well, I just think we could have used, I think if, again, all of these decisions, right, change on results. If Everton win at the weekend, none of us are talking about Demarai Gray. If Everton had to beat Fulham, of course. But I just think sometimes when you're in Everton's position, You have to use every tool that is available to you. You can shake the lad's hand and go, listen, the minute I get the thumbs up from Kevin or whoever it is, off you go. We'll shake your hand and off you go, Demarai. We're not trying to stop your move, mate, honestly. But we need you right now because you're one of our players and we're paying you. And who knows, he might have just dropped the shoulder and bounced that one in he does every 6 months, and that could have got us the 3 points and we move on.
Yeah, and that'd be worth it, wouldn't it? And
of course.
Look, there's no problem with Sean Dyche not wanting Demarai Gray and wanting to move, because that's football, isn't it? Like, happens with dozens of players at every football club every summer. So I get
you get players because other managers don't want them, and the good players.
That's how it works, isn't it? But then I also understand Everton sort of need to turn around and keep him at this stage, because we failed on deadline day to bring in a winger and left ourselves short.
Okay, so that's my next point then. He's come out and basically said, I can't play for someone that doesn't respect me. So he's had, everyone knows I can't play for someone who doesn't, so he's had to go to manager. And once those cracks start happening, Jack, they happen everywhere then. Happen everywhere. So what do we do with him? The window to Saudi Arabia is still open until Friday. Everton failed to bring players in on deadline day. There's lots of things bouncing around, whether you believe them or you don't, and we won't know. We won't know, but there's a lot of things bouncing around that Everton knock deals back, whatever, who knows. But we're in a position now where if I'm Sean Dyche and you come out and say you can't play for me because I don't respect you, and everybody knows you're not playing for me, no matter how much we need you because you've broken almost that covenant of what goes on in the dressing room stays in the dressing room.
Yeah, at that point the relationship's broke, isn't it?
Gone. And I think sadly for Sean Dyche, Demarai Gray isn't like Mo Salah or something. He's not someone who will come in and get 15 goals between now and January, so you can go, mate, I don't like you and you don't like me, but play for your teammates. And the minute the window opens, we'll sell you when we can get caught. I just don't see that happening. So we've got to sell him, haven't we, in these next 5 days?
Yeah, I think it looks a bit untenable now, the relationship between Dyche and Demarai Gray. You know, it looks like there's things Dyche could have handled better in his treatment of him. You know, it maybe always should have been established between the two of them that you're only leaving and if we sign another winger. But, you know, we probably will, so, you know, be prepared to move, but just have that in mind. And that maybe that conversation should have happened. If it hasn't, I don't know the specifics of it. I think for Demarai Gray to come out and slate him, no, I rarely agree with it when a player comes out and does that. I just think it's unprofessional. You know, have those discussions in private, potentially, you know, hash it out, say your feelings. But, you know, say Ned went onto social media and said, I hate working for Baz. Baz doesn't respect me as a human or a worker. I can't work for someone like that. You're not going to be very happy with that as a boss, are you? And you can apply that to every line of work.
He says it in here, but no, he doesn't go out and say that.
Yeah,
so that's okay. We accept it in here.
It's bringing your employers into disrepute to a level, isn't it? And yeah, I do think it's unprofessional, but in his eyes, he's getting the move now, isn't he? He's getting what he wants from it, most likely. So
what I mean as well is I've got, just in case, first of all, this is going on, Jack, because it is warm.
Yeah, hot one today.
I've got no issue with a manager making a call on a player. None. I've got no. Sean Dyche looks at Demarai Gray and goes, he's not for me.
Well, that's what he's paid to do,
I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with that, right? The whole thing is, if I look and think like Jack can really help me, I want him gone because we'll get money for him and he's long term he ain't gonna play.
I don't really like him.
Right, but he'll do me a job until the time when he won't do me a job, which is the transfer's agreed and off you go. And I think that's where I find it a little bit difficult. It happens before, it'll happen again. You know, we kind of seen this with Luca Dean and Rafa Benitez, didn't we? The only difference was Dean wanted to play. Dean wanted to play, even though he didn't like Benitez, he wanted to play for Everton. He said, he's stopping me playing, whatever. Managers will always will create what they think is acceptable within the group. And again, even that, no problem. You have to create a culture in that group that says, like you were saying about Ned, right? We couldn't have that because that then says to every other employee or every other person part of a team, it's okay. It's okay to go out and say whatever you want about these two or these three or whatever. Not acceptable. That isn't acceptable because then the cracks appear. And I think now, and again, Demarai Gray, for all I know, is the worst trainer ever. Or Dyche just has got an issue with him and is treating him unfairly, because we don't know. There's two sides to every story. Okay? The problem you've got to do is, I think, and I said this with Nonso. Right? You play for the fans and the shirt. That is what you play for. If you don't like him, if you don't like the manager, then make sure you get your move. So every day, Kevin Thelber, I want to move. Don't like this manager. I'll work my bollocks off while you've been playing me. I don't like the manager. I want to go. That's how you deal with it for me. But I don't know what the manager's done to him. Why has he had to come out? Was it already the ink drying on his contract? Or is it one of them? And the next minute, stop. You're not going. And now he's frustrated. And that's just so frustrating.
The other thing is, I think a few Leicester fans have come out and said Demarai Gray said a lot of similar things while he was at us. He talked about respect and what he thought he should have been getting, and maybe there's that side of it from the player, and maybe he does have a short fuse in these sort of situations where a manager doesn't favour him. I don't know, like you say, we don't know the specifics, do we? And there probably is things on both sides that could have been handled differently. But I just think to come out in public with it means a situation can only go one way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on, you Blues here has said, did Dyche really put Everton as his priority, or did he put his ego as his priority? And we don't, again, that's another one we don't know, do we? We don't know. We'll see. Mike says, I've heard he's a bad trainer and doesn't like to press hard. Dyche wants wingers to be up and down all game. Gray thinks he should be able to conserve, I imagine he's going to say, his energy. Yeah, but we've all watched Demarai Gray for 2 years. Anyone who watches this channel knows that we don't think he's as good as Cristiano Ronaldo in his pomp, or Mo Salah, or anyone else, but he's got the option of, he has got it in his locker, he can bang one in from 25 yards. Footballers like to play. They like to play. They go on the pitch. They want to do well, and especially if you're trying to get a move, you want to go on and
it helps to be playing well.
Exactly. So I just think maybe we could have used them and just accepted that it is over as a club, and it's how quickly can we get you out? Yeah,
and have that gentleman's agreement between you. It was like, look, we were happy for you to go. You don't particularly want to be here, but the way it is right now is you're going to be with us for 6 months. Just dig in, play as well as you can, do what you can, and the seconds we can, we'll let you go.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one now, because he has come out and said it. So the manager, if he plays him, is he weak? Does he show a sign of weakness? If he doesn't play him, is that in the best interest of the football club? And that's why it's rocky ground, and that's why maybe Everton will end up just going, yeah, you're gone. Because what's the point? And Gray's, the other thing with this as well is Demarai Gray knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He knows what he's doing. He's come out and said it, knowing he's putting the manager under pressure.
And he got love the fans in there as well to try and keep them on sides.
That's it, isn't it? Listen, footballers, it goes on. Fans will always go on the side that they want to come down on. The one they like, they'll always come down. Whether it's right or it's wrong, they'll back whoever they like, won't they? They won't look at it and go, maybe.
Oh, well, I don't like him, but he is in the right. And it doesn't happen like that, does it? People back their favourite. And, it's at a point where Sean Dyche's popularity isn't massively high in the Everton fan base. It was the right time to do it. If we'd won at the weekends, would that statement have come out?
Well, it depends if he's frustrated because the manager or the football club have stopped him leaving. He's going to say something, isn't he? He's got to try and force the move somehow, hasn't he, himself? We've seen it this summer, haven't we? We've seen Mathew Nunes refuse to train at Wolves, and they've just gone, like, you're going then.
Yeah.
City paid that, you're gone. We've seen Nonso at Leeds. We've seen others refusing to do it. I'm not training, no chance, I want to go, whatever. Players do it. players do it.
Yeah, but those players were happy to be the bad guy in those situations to get that move. You know, Nonto Nunes knew that people are going to be unhappy with me over this. Demarai Gray's thing was, I want to be playing for Everton. I love Everton. I love the fans, but it's this fella stopping me. It was a very, don't boo me, boo him sort of thing, weren't it? And I think if, you know, with the way things are, you know, people are criticising Dyche a bit more, and people are saying, this team's missing something. It was the right time on Demarai Gray's side for him, for his PR to release that statement to potentially keep people on side.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, everything's done calculated, isn't it? Adam says Anwar El Ghazi's a free agent after terminating his contract with PSV. He's been approached by a Premier League club and clubs in Saudi, according to Fab Romano. How much you want to bet who the Premier League club is? Imagine if El Ghazi come back and it was the greatest redemption ever. He comes in and plays and scores all sorts of goals.
No, it'd be Luton or someone, won't it? He's not a Premier League club.
Sheffield United. Richard, I'm not WhatsApp today. It's too hot to be WhatsApp Baz today. Tom says Dyche won't be here in a few weeks' time anyway, so it'll be negligent to sell Gray now. The next manager can use him, then he can go in January and be replaced. Well, we don't know if Sean Dyche beats Arsenal, then he deserves a bit more time, doesn't he? Don't forget, against Arsenal, you'll have Jack Harrison available. Dwight McNeil should be fit then. He clearly wasn't fit at the weekend. Dom will be back. I think Seamus Coleman will be closer to being involved in the squad. Delhi, he's been name-checked Delhi again. He might be, and Dobbin will be fit again. And Michael Keane will be back, he said. So the squad will certainly be stronger by the time we play Arsenal at Goodison. It's now a Sunday at 4:30 rather than a Saturday night at 5:30. But hey-ho, there you go.
I'll tell you what, as well, regardless of our next couple of results, Dyche will still be here.
Do you think?
When is this club
What if Everton lost the next two, though? And it could be the next three because we got Villa away in the cup. Of course, we could win the next three. I'm just saying, what if, though?
Next two, I still think he'll still be here. Yeah. I think every time, because we've sacked a lot of managers, people do seem to think we have an excuse we pull the trigger. Every manager we've sacked could have gone a month earlier at least.
Yeah,
Lampard.
There's only one fella who knows, doesn't he? But I would suggest if Everton haven't won 6 games at the start of the season and 5 of them have been defeats, he'll be under huge pressure.
Don't get me wrong, if he does lose his next 3, I'd absolutely understand people wanting him out. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know what
you're saying. I just think the club will give him as much time as they possibly can.
And the flip side will be, we could easily beat Arsenal. Not easily. But what I mean is, we were in probably a worse state when Arsenal came to Goodison in February, and they hadn't lost since early September against United, and we beat them. They were flying, and we beat them at Goodison with probably a worse state of a team that day. Crowd will make it difficult. It's up to the players to carry out the plan. It'll be almost easier playing against Arsenal because we know how good they are, and it'll be very much about sit back, win tackles, make sure you're nice and tight. And if we can get nice and compact, and then you've got Beto on the break, and you've got Dan Juma, and you've got Jack Harrison involved, and Dwight McNeil, then Everton will carry a threat going the other way. They could quite easily get a result against Arsenal. I know it's unlikely, or people will see it as unlikely, but it's probably been unlikely most of the 5 times in the last 6 years we beat them that we get a result.
Yeah, on paper every time it doesn't look on the cards, does it?
So, and a result like that then, see if Everton got a result like that against Arsenal, then you'd look at it the other way and you go, well, hang on, they won at Doncaster, so they got in the next round of the cup. They went to Sheffield United and got a draw, but scored the first goals. Now they've beat Arsenal at home. They're going to Brentford at the weekend. We've got and therefore people start looking at it a totally different light.
Beat a capable team like Arsenal, it shows that you've got something.
They're in a Champions.
No, that's what I mean.
Championship race, aren't they?
They're a good team. They're one of the few teams in this league that are objectively good.
Yeah.
If you can beat them, things do look up, don't they?
Absolutely. One player that left the club by contract termination the other day was Jean-Philippe Gbamin. Should have been a good signing for Everton. He certainly had the physique. He had, I'd say, he had the criteria to be a really good midfielder for Everton. and got a horrific injury, then got another horrific injury, and I think he ended up with 6 appearances in 4 seasons, which is awful.
Yeah, poor fella, really, innit? So that is a situation of horrendous luck, and there's no one to blame.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen people sometimes use the Gbamin signing as something to hold over Marcel Brands and go, how can you rate this fella? There's stuff you can say about Marcel Brands, don't get me wrong, but, you know, he didn't personally rip Gbamin's thigh bone off, did he? Like,
no. Well, I don't think so. That'd be assault, wouldn't it?
You'd hope not. But yeah, you know, he had the making of a good signing. He was, 22 when
22,
we started?
23, yeah.
Big physical presence. Liverpool
could get around the pitch. Yeah.
It looked like he had the making of a good player. And, you know, people will look at his very early performances when he came in with no pre-season. He was very unfit and he played poorly. In those games, it's fair enough, but he'd had no pre-season, he weren't fit, so we never actually got to see the Gbamin we signed at all, did we? Not once.
Mad.
Because he went from, he had appearances where he was unfit, and then after that he had appearances where
when Rafa Benitez played them against Wolves away, he dropped them in the shit. He put him in the midfield with Alan, who was the most ill, as good as Alan was at times for us, he was so ill-disciplined. So it was often, and Wolves played 3 in midfield, so it was 3 against 2 anyway, and it was 3 against 1. So they were just passing the ball around Gbamin. So it wasn't exactly great for him. The lad never, not saying he could have done it anyway at that stage, but he was really a number 6 who sat, and we exposed him when we played him. No one really, they see him every day, so they might have looked and gone, this kid's way off it, which is fine. But I know that when we bought him, he was a good prospect, and he had everything to be a decent midfield player for Everton. That, like we say, the physicality, the mobility to get around a pitch, good passing range, and you miss 2 years of football through bad injuries. You ain't making that up in Premier League football. You're just not.
No, not many players recover from that.
And by the time he was fit and able to stay fit, I think he'd lost a bit of his mojo as well by just not playing. It just gone.
And those type of injuries can have a permanent effect, can't they?
Yeah.
You know, he had, a thigh injury? That's a bad one. What was the other one?
Snapped his Achilles.
Achilles injuries.
Then he was just training. Just stretch for something, his Achilles popped. And that's, again, often the case with injuries. You get one and you start compensating for it because I'm worried about my thigh, and then the next minute that goes.
And the inactivity and everything,
and then
like
just
that.
Like, well, and then you start believing, I'm sure, you're cursed or whatever. And before you know it, you're just done in, aren't you? Dave says, come on, Baz, have you got heat stroke? We're not beating Arsenal, not with our defence. The same conversation for Sean Dyche's first game, the exact same conversation. The 0 chance, no chance, 6-0 it'll be, doesn't matter. Dyche isn't a miracle worker, blah, 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 blah. Everton won the game. Remember under Koeman, Arsenal come to Goodison unbeaten in December. Everton weren't playing well. Give Arsenal 1-0 lead, still beat them. It happens in football, mate.
Benitez.
It happens in football. Benitez, we pinched it, didn't we? Everyone, there's no chance. They'll batter us. We're horrific with this, with that, with the other. We beat them. It happens, mate. I think someone's just put they haven't won since 2016. I don't know about that, but we certainly have. We've had a good run against them.
That we might beat them a lot. True. You know, I can't think of.
I remember Jagielka scoring against them under Marco. We beat them then. We beat them 2-1 under Carlo. And we drew 0-0 with them
under Dunk.
When Carlo was announced under Dunk. And we beat them 2-1 under Rafa Benitez. And then last season we beat them under Sean Dyche. So I know we've won 5 of the last 6 against them at Goodison. And 0-0 with Dunk at Christmas. When was it? 2017 was the last time they won at Goodison. So the 5-2 with saw big Ronald Koeman going. And we beat them the season before that, so it's like 6 in the last 8 Everton have won. So listen, would I put money on Everton to beat them, Dave, that day? No, but to say there's no chance of Everton beating them it's a bit nonsensical, really, isn't it? Really. So of course we can beat them. Would that, like I said, would we sit here and put our house on it? No.
Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Absolutely yes.
Yeah. So it's up to the manager to come up with a game plan, isn't it? The manager's they've got 2 weeks now. It's up to him to come up with a game plan to go, right, how can we stifle them? They look brilliant, of course they do. But Fulham went there last week and drew. So, and Fulham were dreadful against us, remember. So, anything can happen, of course. We'll see. That's what it comes down to. We'll see. Jonathan says, on the basis we've taken 1 point, but when players back and more match fitness, we will get better.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. But, we still could have won these games without some of these players. That game at the weekend, you can't tell me that it was unwinnable for us.
No, just the one. Chances it's the thing is, it's those moments in the game when you break 4-on-2 at 1-0, pick the right pass and kill the game. They could have passed it. Danjuma, commit, draw the defender, roll it to the core. Defender comes to the core, roll it to Garner, he taps it into an empty net. It's what they apparently do every day in training. So why in games are you making the wrong selection? That goes 2-0, it's game over.
Yeah, especially with them because, don't forget, they're in the same situation of us. They've started the season poorly, a bit of a chaotic transfer and they lost 2 key players. Brought a very good one in Gus Hammer. But, they get on top of them. They started the game awfully as well and the players look nervy, especially at 1-0 up.
Yeah.
That game would have been dead and buried at 2-0 for us.
They couldn't get out their own half for the first 5 minutes. Their own box. It was like watching Everton at home. When you think a fast start, we need a fast start today, and then you come out and can't get the ball, and you're like, oh, for God's sake. That's what it was like for them. They were kicking it anyway, weren't they? We should have killed it off, and we didn't. And it's those moments, isn't it, you have to take. Amo says, Baz, would you take Steven Jotovic on a free to do a job until Jan? Yeah, but would he do a job until January?
How old's he now?
He's got to be 30. That's City years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, like nearly 10 years ago. He
must be like 33, 34.
Yeah, minimum.
But what job is he going to do?
I'll have a little
That's what you got to look at. It's like, when everyone's fit, we've got White McNeil, Danjuma, Jack Harrison. We've got Dobbins there as a extra winger. We've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Chimiti, and Beto. So we got 7 forward players for a team that plays with 1 centre forward. We've also got, so it's like, I think what Everton are probably missing is a creative style midfield player. I think they're probably missing that, but definitely missing a left back. And people will argue over a centre back, and I wouldn't argue against that. I'm just saying they'll look and go, well, we've got 4 centre back, and we had 3 on Saturday, but we've got 4 centre back, so we're okay. People can beg to differ there. We're not the manager, are we? He might think he's quite happy with Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey as backup players. I think if you're asking me what I'd love the right winger, absolutely. So unless you can get me a right winger who we can still bring in, who's on a free, who will make a difference.
Who's not El Ghazi.
Who isn't El Ghazi. There's not too many of them around who are difference makers, who are free, because they're free for a reason, aren't they?
At this point as well.
Exactly. So,
closed.
Will we bring Jagielka in as the 5th centre back? I don't know. He seemed to be cheering Sheffield United on at the weekend. So
yeah, there's been some shouts to bring Townsend back as well.
Yeah, Andros Townsend's available, but he couldn't get a contract at Burnley.
Yeah.
So why? Why couldn't he get a contract at Burnley? Because he mustn't be fit enough, or there's still a few little niggling doubts over him. And then does that kind of push Dobbin out then to get this fella we've had who's had a cruciate knee ligament injury? Is it better to have Lewis Dobbin bobbing around on the bench until January? I think once again, the frustration for me is Everton. It would have been great to bring a right winger in, a centre back and a midfield player who had a bit of creativity, or a right winger. But they haven't done it. So now they've just got to, and we're not very good at this, but they've just got to try and stay fit. If they can keep the majority of the first team players fit, they'll be all right, I think. I still think they'll be fine, but it's if they have a couple of injuries. If we lose one of our centre backs, I would worry, I'm not going to lie.
Have we got the same amount of bodies in the wide positions that we had for the second half of last season anyway, when Gordon went?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we had Demarai Gray. Iwobi got shoved out there. And we had White McNeil, didn't we? And that was really it.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Now we've got McNeil, Danjuma and Harrison.
It's not ideal. You'd have want one more. And obviously, Demarai Gray would have been, and listen, who knows, stranger things have happened. Still may be part of the Everton squad going forward, but I think it's very difficult to envisage him coming back in once he said what he said now. That's the final play, isn't it? That's your final thing of, I'm going to force this move through because I'm not playing for him.
It's been the bridge, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's done, and again, it's people might look at it as a sign of weakness if the manager plays him.
Yeah, I think any outcome now is just going to carry bad connotations of it. And Dyche looks weak, or Gray looks trouble causer, or Everton are paying a player to stay who they're not playing. There's no great outcome now, but there's an outcome where we can make some money. Yeah,
and they'd probably be better right now going, right, let's get our right winger signed, like ready for January to go. And again, we say it every year, and it won't happen because it's Everton, but let's make sure in the first day or so of the transfer window in January, we have our right winger who we've identified to come in, do the deal now with whoever it may be. If it's Leeds, for none, so I can't see that happening. Move on then. If it's Suleiman at Southampton, go and put the money down, whatever, but make the decision so that when you get to the 1st of January, you've got the next fella ready to come in. And that should be Kevin Thelwell's job, because we can talk about Sean Dyche. The fella might not be here, and therefore you have to do it for the squad. He may well be here. Listen, again, I've said a couple of wins, the whole picture changes again. But identify someone that Sean Dyche is comfortable with, Kevin Thelwell is comfortable with, and then go and try to get that deal, the wheels in motion on it now, rather than in December going, should we have a look who we could get? Because that just makes it difficult, and you're hoping that you're all right, and come January you're ticking along quite nicely, and that is someone you drop into the squad and gives you an extra boost.
Yeah, just Thelwell can't be having 4 months off, can he? We need to be identifying players now for a strong January window.
I'm sure
which
they are.
We won't have, because we never have a good January window, do we? Not since we brought in Jalovic and Pienaar.
It's difficult. January transfer.
No, it is. It's hard, but
your planning needs to be done now, doesn't it? Really. Stuart says the manager doesn't want him. Keeping him is stupid all round. Stuart Lowe says, what a knobhead. I don't know who he's referring to. We'll see. Rob says, might as well hold on to Gray. He might work well with the new manager. We'll probably be getting in a month. With eyes to the heaven. Everton Vikings says on the Luca Dean one, letting Rafa sell one of our best players and treating them like dirt only to sack Rafa 3 days later is one of the worst decisions in recent history. That was a little bit mad. Yeah. It was a little bit mad. The whole thing.
Bonkers.
If you're going to sack him, then why are you letting them sell a player?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. If you're keeping him, fine. If the manager said I don't want him and you're backing your manager, okay.
It's because they wanted to keep him, didn't they? They didn't want to sack him. That was the whole thing. But
they knew then he was on a sticky wicket.
Yeah, if one more result does it, prior to that result, you need to know that we might have to sack him soon.
Yeah, crazy. Alexander says the ref was beyond the joke on Saturday. The Corey getting booked for nothing. Yeah. I think it was Baldock. Didn't even look at the ball. Shoulder barge is young, yet the Corey's booked and he isn't. Also, what was that shit show with the Sheffield free kick? The ref making a new line because it was Everton free kick. He made a new line because their players wouldn't move back.
Yeah, the second line was for Young to where the standard.
I know, but they just walked and stood there.
Yeah, well, that McBain, like a few of them moved behind the second. McBain, he was still stood there, weren't he? Yeah, that Decore one was bad. It was.
All he done was chuck the ball.
Yeah,
didn't he?
But those situations where the referee wants to let it go a bit, but then a few tasty tackles go in and it's going, okay, I'd let that go. Oh, I've let that one go as well. Oh, the next one that comes in, I've got to blow, or this is going to go to chaos. And then Decore shoulder barges someone and takes the ball perfectly legal, and he's like, I can't let another thing go.
The foul's alright, but the yellow card for it was
See, I don't even think it was a foul, to be
honest.
It
wasn't a foul, but I'm saying if you want to go down that way, they've done it with Brantwaite. Brantwaite slid in and got a little bit on the ball, but I think it probably was a foul, but his foot touches the ball first. And the lad goes down. The linesman didn't give anything, and the referee gave a free kick and booked him.
Yeah.
Like, hang on.
I just think the Corey one had shown a lack of maturity from the ref, to be honest, like a lack of self-assurance, because it was like the momentum of all those like feisty challenges that were going in was all building up, and it was the next thing I have to blow for.
They do that though, don't they?
Yeah, and it's not the job to do that.
No. Kev says, I'm not defending Deitch as I don't want him as our manager, but this situation, I'm on his side. Gray is previous doing this before he did it at his previous clubs. Fair enough. John says Deitch and Gray looks like poor man management. If there's a lack of respect, it's on both sides. Yeah. Tazul says, hi guys, double-edged sword here. I never ever want Everton to lose a game. But say we lose the next two, would you expect Deitch to be sacked? I would take that as I've gone off Deitch now. His dinosaur long ball tactics is great to watch. On the other hand, do you think the team will improve when all the players are available? Well, if you get your best players fit, you tend to have a better chance, don't you? So there's that. I just want the manager to sort his game plan out. Get rid of the big gaping holes in the team so we can't be picked off. Will he do that? I don't know. If Everton lose the next two, like I said, he's going to be under big pressure. I think someone put up the other day, he's won 8 in his last 57 Premier League games.
Dyche.
Yeah. And he's got a worse win rate than Lampard. So by that, you would say, that's not great, is it? But if we get our better players back, then he's got more to work with, hasn't he? It's the bit I'm really surprised with is the defensive side of it. That's the bit I'm shocked with him. I thought we'd be like really tight and trying to nick games. I thought we'd be able to, be solid defensively. When you look back on certain moments, there's just holes everywhere. And people can go, as the players, well, it's up to the manager to control the players then. Like, me and Ped were talking before, there's like the difference between Onana and Garner. Like, Onana's heat maps and that, when he played elsewhere, he sits in front of the back four. And we know Garner likes to press and go chasing everything and putting fires out. Well, if that's the case and he's leaving big holes, put the lad who knows how to play it in there then. Leave him sat in front of the back and let Garner go doing the press. Okay, fine, no problem with that. The core 8 isn't going to come and sit in for you. So therefore, why don't you play a real number 6 and go, right, I'm operating with Onana as the 6 and let the core 8 and Garner do the press. Maybe try that.
Yeah, there's just certain things, aren't there, that just look like conversations that need to be had aren't being had. Players aren't being told to not do certain things that we've seen them do. These fullbacks, and the fact that both of them have been doing it makes me think it's a tactical choices. They're going towards the ball a lot, even when the ball's in central areas.
Yeah,
they're coming out to, like Patterson for the pick for their own goal. He did that. Ashley Young's done it quite a few times now. They're coming out towards the ball diagonally central.
But ironically, we don't go out to the ball when it's in wide areas. We stay narrow.
And the fact that both of them are doing it makes it look like it's a tactical thing, and that I do not understand.
No, but listen, he'll know. But we'll see. Listen, I think what we all want is Everton to just win games of football, don't we? That's what we want. The managers really shouldn't come into it. When you think of it, like it's becoming a boring conversation again. When really go in, organise the team, and win games of football. It's dead simple. Go and do it. Then you can just get on with the games, can't you? There's all that uncertainty. The grey stuff piles on top of other things. They're not winning games. There's the takeover stuff, or the investments. Let's not call it a takeover because it isn't. Investment stuff in the background. Standard Liège protesting the other night against them, and it's everywhere. And there just seems still there's just too much noise. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how you calm the noise other than winning games of football. I think that's probably the only way you calm the noise down.
It's the best way to satisfy football fans, in it, to win a few games.
You can't have a go at anyone really who is got itchy feet again over the manager or is frustrated with the players, because every year is just the same. Right now, it just feels like one continuous season from when Benitez coming of just shite. That's how it feels.
Yeah, and look, I respect people who try and be positive and, try and see the brighter side of things also. Yeah, and I feel like I try and do that a lot of the time as well, but it's ultimately, we've had 2 consecutive relegation fights, looking like we could possibly be in for a third, possibly people are allowed to be a bit dissatisfied and a bit worried and to be critical of things at the club. And
absolutely, yeah.
It's natural, isn't it?
Absolutely, you can't tell anyone to. Everyone. We've all got our own emotions with it and frustrations with it, and like we've just started the season, and Villa are a decent side, and they spanked us. The other 3 games we should have got stuff out of. We've got a point after 12 out of 12. Like we haven't won a game yet, and it's gonna be mid-September when we're trying to win a game again. And last year was the same. We won on, I think it was the 18th of September or something against West Ham, our first win of the season. We think we play Arsenal on the 17th of September. So we're having to. I know we won against, like last year we beat Fleetwood in the Carabao Cup. This year we beat Doncaster. But you're looking at it, it's again mid-September before we've won a Premier League game. How is this continuing to happen? So anyway, let's race through these. Evan Vikings said, played 3 of the worst teams in the league and got 1 point. Played 1 decent side, got battered 4-0. Players coming in will help things get better, but the core stuff will remain the same if nothing changes. Poor tactics will remain poor, but with better players. Collins says, why are our players brain dead and selfish? It proper does my head in. The amount of times that's all is needed is a little sideways pass for a tap-in. The players we have always do the opposite. Shoot when they should pass and pass when they should shoot. I'm sick of it. I can't keep shouting at them to do the basics. Everton Vikings said, welcome Axel Tanzibi. Colin McCourt says, also, I can't believe Friday happened again like January. It's pure madness. How can we chase one player all window, not get him, and obviously bring no one in? It's like smoke and mirrors. Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it. It just seemed like a mad position to be in, where Nottingham Forest signed 7 players on Friday in a day.
It's doable,
and
isn't
we
it?
struggled to complete 1 deal. But we'll get told how hard he worked, I guess. I don't know.
Ned, when you went down, had they actually all gone? Could you tell? Finch Farm.
Left Finch Farm. I think at the end of the day, if they know something's not happening, then they can't. There's no point in sitting.
No, I'm not saying they should have been. I'm just wondering if they were potentially working on anything.
They probably were trying to get people in, but when you get to that stage, when you get to 8 o'clock on a transfer deadline day and you're going, who's available? It's not great planning, is it?
Especially if you're trying to bring in an overseas player and you've got to get them on a flight.
There's no chances there, so... Anyway, let's just see what happens. Kev said, the worry for me now is if we're waiting for the January transfer window, what if we get a transfer ban? Yeah, well, we'll see, won't we? If we get it, we'll have to front it up, won't we? Stuart says we should contact Eden Hazard, tell him he's too good to retire, 6-month contract. Getting in Everton's midfield is much easier than retirement because he couldn't get into Real Madrid. Danny says, am I the only remaining Evertonian 100% believes Deitch is still the man for the job? XG and stats agree with me, but Everton fans don't. I don't think you're the only one. But you can understand people questioning it, can't you? Because results tell you, Danny, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, isn't it?
The underlying stats is an argument, to be fair. It looks
but
like
but then Graham Potter had underlying stats at Chelsea and they chased him, and Frank Lampard had underlying stats and that was Rafa Benitez's arguments. But the stats say this. At some stage, it's got to be more than that, hasn't it?
Materialise itself into...
He's right. Some of the stats say that if Everton actually took the chances, we'd be fine. But that's how many games do we go? So we have got to... Again, like I said before, we've got to start taking the chances. And then a lot of this will quieten down a bit. That's on the players and that's on the structure, isn't it? We can talk about underlying attacking stats and go, if we start taking our chances, that's good. But Danny, if we have to score 3 goals every game because defensively the structure of the team is giving up goals, then how does it change? You can't win 4-3 every game. Roberto Martinez suffered with this. So they've got to get that side of it sorted. I think if it was 0-0 for most games, I'd be with you. I'd be going, listen, we just need to take it. We'll be fine. The fact is, Sheffield United have scored 2 goals and we've needed a brilliant double save in the 98th minute to get a point. haven't we? In the end, we could have lost the game if that goes in. You know, the second one, it's Pickford in the face. If that just goes in, we've lost the game. And we'd be sat here scratching our heads how we lost the game. So you're right to look at it and go, stats-wise, we're doing things right. We are offensively. Defensively, we're awful. I think defensively, like some American, defensively, we are worse under Dykes than we were under Lampard.
Yeah.
So that's got to be an area that we've got to sort out. Tazul says we don't really have a number 6. You think Garner can do it? Well, Onana is a number 6, really. That's where I think he'll play long term. So why not put him in there and say, mate, just police that bit in front of the back four. Get on the ball. He wants the ball. He likes to turn with the ball and pick the passes. It's just that higher up the pitch, he ghosts through the game at times where it's just passing him by, whereas if he was in the 6, he could almost dictate the game a little bit more, maybe.
Well, he doesn't know the more advanced role, does he? But he's not really played it, so that could explain why he's maybe ghosting out of games as well, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And Coco Pop says who comes in if Dykes goes, listen, let's just win games of football and then the manager talk can be bounced for a bit. So start winning some games. Hey, you win some games. That's all that matters, really, isn't it? Right, we're going. Let's do it. We're going to be back at 2 looking at everything that happened over the weekend and seeing if there's any Saudi Arabian transfer news. Be that interesting. Stay where you are. Ned will put the magical teleportation thing in. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe on both channels. Do it. Too warm not to do it. See you in a minute.